All right, let's dive into some really fascinating science. We're going to explore a connection between two things you'd probably never group together. Just the normal process of getting older and the specific brain disorder, Parkinson's disease. And the link? Well, it's hiding in a place you might never expect.
So that's the big question, right? What is the hidden thread that ties the universal experience of aging to a disease we almost always associate with the brain? Well, it turns out the answer might not be in the brain at all, but actually way, way lower down. And to get how, we first have to talk about a pretty critical system in our bodies.
And that system is called the gut-brain axis. Now, the easiest way to picture this is to think of it like a massive, constantly running, two-way superhighway of information. It's the communication line between your digestive system and your brain.
And look, this is way more than just a gut feeling. We're talking about a super complex network. It uses nerves, hormones, even your immune system to fire messages back and forth 24/7. It's this biological hotline that has a huge say in our mood, our overall health, and, as we're about to see, maybe even our risk for certain brain diseases.
Okay, so for a really long time, scientists were looking at changes in the gut from two totally different angles. You had one group of researchers over here studying the aging gut, and another group over there studying the Parkinson's gut. They were basically treated as two completely separate puzzles.
And this really shows you that divide perfectly. On one hand, researchers knew that as we get older, the community of bacteria living in our gut, that's our microbiome, it just naturally changes. At the same time, completely separately, they saw that people with Parkinson's have their own very distinct pattern of changes in their gut bacteria. So two different conditions, two different gut profiles. Or so it seemed.
But this is where the story gets really interesting. A few researchers had a thought. What if we stopped looking at these as two different puzzles? What if we metaphorically laid one on top of the other and started looking for where the pieces match up?
And that led them to ask this absolutely critical question. What if some of the changes we see in the guts of Parkinson's patients aren't actually unique to the disease at all? What if they're the exact same changes that happen just as part of getting older?
And when they actually compared the data from all the studies, boom, they found a huge overlap. Just look at this. The levels of bacteria like Akkermansia and Alistipes went up in both older individuals and in Parkinson patients. And at the same time, some of the really good guys like Faecalibacterium and Blautia, they decreased in both groups. This wasn't a coincidence. This was the smoking gun.
So what does this all mean? It suggests that the gut microbiome we see in Parkinson's patients isn't some totally unique signature. No, a huge piece of that puzzle is actually being driven by the normal, age-related changes that happen to many of us. It's like the aging process itself is setting the stage in the gut.
Now, finding this overlap was a massive first step, but it immediately brings up the next obvious question: why? Why does it matter that these specific bacteria are disappearing? Well, the main clue seems to lie in a really important substance called butyrate.
So what is butyrate? Well, think of it as this amazing little molecule. It's a metabolite, which is just a fancy word for a byproduct. Some of our best gut bacteria produce it when they digest fiber for us. And its main job is to be a powerhouse anti-inflammatory, keeping the lining of our gut healthy and strong.
So you can see how this dangerous chain reaction gets started. First, those key bacteria that make butyrate, Faecalibacterium and Blautia, their numbers go down. That directly causes the next step. Your gut just can't produce enough of that awesome anti-inflammatory butyrate. And the result? Your body's defenses are weaker, which could lead to more inflammation throughout the body. And we know that inflammation is a huge risk factor in neurodegenerative diseases.
Now, this is where it all gets really, really hopeful. Because this discovery doesn't just change how we see the disease, it might completely change how we treat it. It's pointing us to a brand new therapeutic target that we weren't really focused on before.
And I just want to read this quote because it comes straight from the researchers, and it really captures the excitement. They said that this intersection, quote, could reveal gut microbes and their corresponding microbial metabolites, such as butyrate, as potential therapeutic targets for PD. I mean, they're basically saying, hey, everyone, we think we found a target.
So really, if you take just one thing away from all of this today, let it be this. This research is a potential game changer. It points to a future where the best way to treat a disease in the brain might not be to target the brain at all. Instead, we might target the trillions of microbes living in our gut.
And that just leaves us with this incredible thought to chew on. As we learn more and more about this amazing gut-brain superhighway, you have to wonder,
Could the future of brain therapy look less like a shot or a complex surgery and more like a simple probiotic pill, one that's designed to restore that crucial balance deep inside our gut? It's a really powerful idea, and one that science is now taking very, very seriously. Thanks for joining me.